Night shift at a haunted Alaskan gas station. 6 sinister rules revealed that you must follow. Jenna could feel the chill in her bones the moment she stepped inside the gas station. It stood alone on that desolate stretch of highway, swallowed by the night, a solitary beacon flickering against the oppressive darkness. Her heart raced as she assumed her post, desperately trying to shake the sense of dread pooling in her stomach. She'd taken the night shift to make ends meet, but the isolation gnawed at her. The fluorescent lights hummed incessantly, buzzing like angry wasps, highlighting the skeletal aisles stocked with expired snacks and faded newspapers. The first sign of something being off manifested as a low howl, one that seemed to echo through the blizzard outside, reverberating against the glass walls. Jenna shivered, running a hand through her hair, glancing around as she tried to shake the chilling noise from within her mind. A ghostly wind swept past the gas station, and the shadows grew longer, warping into grotesque shapes. She shook her head. No, she wouldn't let her imagination run wild, or so she thought. As the clock ticked towards midnight, Jenna ventured to the restroom, the shadows stretching unnaturally as she walked. The door creaked open, revealing more than just dusty stalls. Glancing at the walls, her breath caught in her throat at the sight of crude scribbles. Follow the rules, lest the night claim you. Each phrase writhed like a serpent. The first message, scrawled menacingly, read, always check the mirrors, the eyes behind you are not your own. She felt a cold sweat trickle down her back as goosebumps danced across her arms. Her gut twisted in fear, but she turned to the mirror anyway. Nothing was there. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she left the restroom, an unsettling feeling tugged at her conscience. The truth unfolded as she read the sinister rules, tales of forgotten travelers and abandoned spirits. The air grew heavier with every whispered warning. As midnight crested, a pickup truck crunched on the gravel outside, its headlights slicing through the surrounding darkness. A weathered salesman stepped out, eyes glinting unnaturally in the light, casting an ominous spell. As Jenna conversed, dread settled in her stomach. His smile felt wrong, too wide and knowing, as if he could sense the tremors of her escalating fear. Suddenly, movement flickered in the bathroom mirror behind her, the reflection shifting, dark shadows twined together, whispering secrets that clawed at her sanity. Her heart thundered in her chest as she felt a presence closing in. Every glance out the gas station window met with distorted figures, aiming to break through the icy glass, hungry for her worst fears. The words she had ignored swirled in her mind, pleading for her attention. There's no way home once you cross the line. With dread settling deeper, Jenna realized that understanding these twisted rules was no longer a choice. It was the thin thread that tethered her to her children, and the only path to possibly unraveling the darkness that enclosed her. The clock's ticking filled the empty station, counting down towards an unknown encounter that freshened the chill seeping into her bones. Would she discover the truth that linked the gas station to its tragic history, or would the night pull her, and her beloved kids, into its merciless embrace? The clock struck midnight, and the air vibrated with tension. Jenna's heart raced as she returned to the counter, hoping to shake off the cold fear clinging to her. But the presence seemed to seep deeper into her bones. Every creak and groan of the building felt amplified, echoing her mounting dread. Shadows danced just outside the flickering fluorescent lights. The world beyond the gas station blurred into an unfathomable abyss. Just relax, she muttered to herself, forcing a smile as the strange salesman called out from the back of the aisle, looking through the merchandise as if it were an old friend. How's the night treating you? His words hung in the air like a bad omen. Jenna forced herself to breathe slowly. Same as always, quiet. As he turned, the light briefly flickered, revealing his eyes dark, devoid of life, like endless pits. Her stomach twisted again, and she turned away, focusing instead on the glass door. The snow swirled outside, and she caught a glimpse of a figure hovering at the edge of the parking lot. It seemed to sway gently, its limbs slightly out of proportion, twisted in ways that made her want to scream. The darkness whispered around her. "Check the mirrors," it seemed to hiss, urging her towards the restroom once again. Gritting her teeth, she resisted the pull and focused on the salesman. "What brings you here on a night like this?" "Looking for something special," he replied, his smile stretching impossibly wide. "You see, I know all the secrets this place hides." He leaned closer, lowering his voice as if sharing a terrible truth. "Do you want to know the real reason that truck is parked outside?" Jenna shivered at his breath, stale and sharp like winter's bite. "What truck?" "The one that hasn't moved for hours." He gestured toward the windows, but Jenna's eyes grew wide as she recalled only the swirling snow and empty road. His gaze shifted to her, nails digging into the counter as if it were his only lifeline. "Don't you see? You're not safe here. This place, it feeds on fear, and you are its next meal." He stood taller, and in the dim light, she thought she saw the shadows crawling around him, responding to his dark words. It was her moment to bolt. Heart racing, she took a step backward toward the door. The howling wind echoed outside, but it wasn't just the wind. Frightened, Jenna turned to the window. The figures she had seen before were now closer, spectral forms pressing against the glass, reaching out with skeletal fingers. She could almost hear their whispers beyond the glass. "Let us in, Jenna." "Rule number 4." The salesman interrupted, his expression shifting from sinister to urgent. "Don't let them in." Panic flooded her veins. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, the lights flickered again. The world outside the gas station seemed to be melting, rippling like a claustrophobic nightmare. The shadows grew, and Jenna fought against the panic swelling in her chest. With an adrenaline-fueled rush, she dashed to the bathroom again, desperate for answers, her breaths rapid and shallow. There, the mirror awaited her, a harbinger of dread. She braced herself, knowing she had to confront whatever lay behind. Sweat coated her palms as she faced her reflection. And then she saw them, eyes staring back at her, not her own. They were cold, hollow voids, and as she leaned closer, her reflection grinned, a malicious smirk threatening to tear the glass apart. Jenna stumbled backward, hands trembling. "No. This can't be real." But as the figures outside began to howl in their grotesque symphony, she understood. The rules were etched in stone, and the night was hungry. The weight of despair crashed over her. Would she be able to emerge, or be consumed by the darkness lurking just beyond the glass? Will she uncover the ultimate truth in time, or lose everything to the shadows? Jenna's breaths quickened. The mirror felt alive, pulsating with the sinister energy it reflected. Her twisted doppelganger wore a grin that widened, mocking her fear. She couldn't look away, as if some unseen thread held her gaze captive. Outside, the howling intensified, a bone-chilling wail that vibrated through the glass. With a surge of panic, Jenna tore herself from the reflection and stumbled backward into the restroom stall. The door rattled slightly, sending a fresh wave of dread crawling up her spine. Footsteps echoed, slow, deliberate strides approaching the bathroom door. Heart pounding, she pressed herself against the cold wall, fighting the urge to scream. Did he follow her? Did the salesman know something she didn't? "Jenna?" came a voice, rough, croaking like gravel. It was the salesman, and he sounded almost amused. "You can't hide forever." The sound of his laughter rippled through the air, wrapping around her like a cold embrace. "Just stay away," she shouted, her voice cracking. Silence fell, leaving her heart to thump in echoed isolation. But not for long. The door creaked open, and in drifted the figure that had been lurking outside. It glided into the room like a smoky veil, its limbs unnaturally elongated, fingers stretched and twitching. Eyes empty as pits searched the room, landing where she hid. The dark entity forces stirred in the corner, weighed heavily upon her. Jenna pressed her back harder against the wall, slowly reaching for her phone. The feeble light flickered, Her last connection to the outside world seemed utterly inadequate. What good was it against a shadow? With a terrifying slowness, the figure reached the edge of the stall. It slid its fingers through the gap, cold and clammy. "Let us," in the voice was a chorus of whispers, each sound blurring into the next, pulling her towards a darker fate. Jenna fought against the urge to succumb to the promise of release in the dark. "No. I want to open up," she shouted, determination igniting her voice as she remembered the salesman's warning. The whispers grew frantic, the shadow thrashing against the painted walls, agitated. The reality twisted and melted around her, but she held tight to her fear. The thought of the salesman sent adrenaline surging. How could he know about these things? Using all her strength, Jenna swung the stall door open, letting in the dim light that barely penetrated the dark corners. The figure recoiled a moment of hesitation, as if light caused it pain. She seized the chance and dashed out. "Jenna!" The salesman's plea cut through the swirling chaos. She stopped in her tracks, his eyes now reflecting nothing but urgency. "You need to listen to me. Rule number 5, don't trust what you see." She spun back toward him, confusion swirling in her mind. "What are you talking about?" Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from outside. The gas station windows rattled violently as the howling intensified. Jenna's feet refused to move. The shadows around her seemed to be morphing, coiling closer, darker than ever. The salesman stepped between her and the emerging nightmare. "You've seen too much. The truth is, you are the key." "Key to what?" she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. He glanced back at her, terror etched in his face. "To saving yourself or their next victim." The figures pressed closer, distorting the light filtering in, creating grotesque shapes that twisted and turned, chanting her name. "What do I do?" she cried, her voice cracking under the weight of horror. "Do you have the courage to face your reflection?" he shouted above the din. "There's still time, but you must act now." The world tilted, mounting pressure threatening to crush her, squeezing her chest as the whispers crescendoed into an overwhelming roar. Jenna shut her eyes tight, battling against the panic, seeking clarity. Could she confront the reflection again? Find a way out of this horror? Time was running out. Will she have the courage to face the darkness within, or will she lose herself to the twisted whispers of despair? Jenna's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the howling winds that battered the gas station. She felt the walls of reality closing tight around her, a dark noose squeezing her breath. Her eyes snapped open, fear mingled with determination. "Face my reflection," she whispered. The thought sent chills racing down her spine. Could she dare to confront that mocking version of herself? A version that might hold the key to her survival. The salesman's eyes were wide, dark pools filled with desperation and grave warning. "You must understand the truth," he urged, his voice urgent as the shadows around them shrieked in discontent. "The light reveals what is hidden in the dark." The shadows pulsed and writhed, whispering, hissing, and clawing at her sanity. "Jenna, Jenna!" The mirror let us in. Laughter erupted from the corners, a cacophony of dread that seeped into her very bones. "No!" she screamed, clutching her phone like a lifeline, its light flickering. There was something there. Something deep within that mirror, something waiting, inviting. "Do it!" the salesman urged, but she saw the fear in his eyes. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. There was just the reflection, the truth hidden deep within it. Jenna turned slowly, feeling drawn, her steps heavy as if she were wading through concrete. The bathroom mirror stood ominously before her, a black surface swirling with secrets. With each step, the whispers grew louder, clawing at her mind, promising her freedom if she just leaned in, just ritualistically opened that door within herself. She paused, breath heavy, waiting. Suddenly, the dark figure at her back surged forward, arms reached out to her, a grotesque tapestry of limbs and shadows. "Join us. Let us in," it chanted, insistently. "No!" she shot back, shivers cascading down her arms. I'm not afraid of you. With ferocity coursing through her, she hurled herself toward the mirror, collapsing against its surface. The glass rippled like water, distorting her view, but she found the strength in her heart. She pushed up against that reflection, feeling the cold touch of the dark cling to her skin. Face it. The salesman shouted behind her. You must face her. The twisted figure in the mirror twisted into a cruel parody of her features, a macabre smile stretched wide. It reached through the glass, fingers stretching and curling. With a gasp, Jenna saw not just herself, but her fears, the ones she had buried deep. In that instant of truth, the chaos around her fell silent. The entity's face faltered, and her own visage broke through the shadow. This was the moment, the confrontation between light and dark, between fear and courage. Stop! She demanded, voice wavering yet resolute, as the air crackled with tension. You don't control me. The mirror shimmered, colors flashing. The dark figure hesitated, then recoiled, noise whirling around them as the shadows fought to reclaim their control. A blinding light exploded from the glass, peeling back layers of dread, banishing the eerie laughter and madness that had seeped so deeply into her mind. Jenna felt herself falling through, the light engulfed her as she plunged headfirst into the chaotic brightness. But just as suddenly, the light dimmed, and she emerged back in the gas station. The shadows still surrounded her, but they flickered, wavering like candlelight. The salesman's voice, now softer, broke through the haze. You faced the reflection, but the fight is only beginning. Her heart sank, the reality crashing back like icy waves. What did he mean? It wasn't over. Suddenly, the howling winds outside stilled, but a new, deeper sound rolled through the silence, the gut-wrenching scream of many voices intertwined. A wave of shadows gathered, growing bolder, more massive than before. Jenna stood frozen, realizing she might not be alone in this upcoming nightmare. What is that? She whispered, dread twisting in her gut. The salesman's gaze followed her, realization dawning. Now, they're coming for you. Who was coming? The sense of impending doom hung in the air. Thick and suffocating, as Jenna braced for the looming confrontation. What horrors awaited her behind the next corner, and would her courage be enough to face not just the dark shadows outside, but the ones lurking within? The true battle was just beginning. The shadows writhed, swirling with menace as Jenna's thoughts raced. A chorus of anguished cries seemed to seep from the walls, tightening her chest, making it hard to breathe. She could almost see them, faces twisted in eternal anguish, reaching out with desperate hands. A crack of thunder boomed outside, shaking the gas station. The flickers of light from her phone flickered again, but this time, the screen showed something chilling. The reflection of the gas station was a warped version of reality, windows that were darkened and broken, a door that led to nothing but inky blackness. Jenna. The voice was soft but insistent. The salesman stepped closer, his features sharpened by the dim light. You can't let them take you. You have to resist. Resist what? Jenna's voice trembled. What are they? Before the salesman could answer, the shadows shifted and twisted, forming shapes more defined. An arm reached out, elongated and grotesque, fingers tipped with claws that gleamed greedily. Groans echoed, a melody of despair creeping beneath her skin. Face your fears, Jenna. You've started the journey, but they won't stop until they have you. His words broke with urgency as the shadows stirred, pressing against the glassy barrier of the gas station as if it were a mere illusion. Panic surged through her. She tightened her grip on her phone, unsure if she could trust the light it emitted. What do I do? She wanted to scream, to run, but there was nowhere to escape. The gathering storm of terror loomed closer. Find the key to their hunger. He pointed toward the back room, the door slightly ajar, dark as the void. You must uncover the truth before they reach you. Jenna swallowed hard. The threshold of the back room felt like an abyss. But there was something familiar about the darkness, something that beckoned her. She stepped towards it, heartbeat drumming in her ears. With one trembling hand, she pushed the door open. An oppressive rush hit her like ice water. The small room was filled with odd trinkets, forgotten relics crowded into shelves, the ghostly remnants of past travelers. But one item caught her eye, a tarnished locket resting atop a dusty counter, gleaming faintly, pulling at her heartstrings. That tug, it was clearly hers, not the locket, but the feeling it stirred within her. A memory. She stepped closer, intent, but the shadows outside pulsed with fury. "Stop! Don't touch it!" The salesman shouted, his voice blending with the howls outside, creating a haunting symphony of despair. But her hand moved without her consent, closing around the locket. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, the shadows screamed, an anguished wail echoing through the air. The room shifted, pitch-black spirals twisting around her, and the locket vibrated violently in her grip. A vision flooded her mind, images of Halloween nights spent in a friend's basement, surrounded by laughter, until an unsettling conversation led to a secret pact, to never return. Jenna felt a surge of guilt. She had buried them deep, ignored the truth. The shadows lunged forward, breathless whispers clawing at her, the cacophony maddening. "Join us, you can't ignore us, no!" She screamed, gripping the locket tighter, forcing her thoughts to stabilize. "You don't own me." Electricity sparked from the locket, illuminating the room in blinding light. The shadows writhed in agony before retreating, but Jenna felt the fight was far from won. The salesman stepped back, his eyes widening with fear. "This is only the first step. You've awakened them, they will not rest until they drag you down. I can fight them," Jenna urged, defiance rising within her. But behind her, a heavy weight pressed against the back door, a red glow illuminating the cracks as it pushed against the wood. Someone, or something, was trying to get in. "Jenna!" The salesman had shifted from hopeful to desperate. "You're not safe here. Run. You must find the others if you wish to survive." The urge to flee crashed against the need to understand. The shadows hissed louder, and the door creaked ominously as the pressure mounted. Jenna's pulse raced. She had a choice to make. Stay and confront the encroaching terror, or abandon the safety of her conviction for a chance at survival. What lay beyond the door? Would she find answers or an even darker fate? With the howling winds roaring back to life, the choice loomed before her like a predator. As they clawed their way nearer, Jenna took a step back, her mind racing. Would she make it through? Or would the shadows claim her once and for all? The door trembled under the weight of whatever was trying to force its way through. Jenna's breath quickened. "What do I do?" She shouted back, her voice cracking, blending with the rumble of thunder outside. "Find the others." The salesman's voice cut through the din, urgent and firm. "They're the only ones who can help you fight. You can't do this alone." The shadows behind him seethed, their forms shifting and muddling together like thick smoke. A chorus of whispers surrounded her. "Help isn't here. They've abandoned you," the voices twisted, each word dripping with venomous intent. Jenna pushed past the salesman and bolted toward the front of the gas station, her heart pounding with each step. A violent shove echoed from the back door, the wood splintering as something dark and twisted pressed against it. She looked back, her skin prickling as the salesman's features twisted in panic. "Get out!" he yelled. His eyes darted toward the roiling shadows. "Now!" Without looking back, Jenna burst through the front door. The storm swallowed her whole, ferocious winds biting at her exposed skin. Rain lashed down, soaking her instantly, but she had no time to feel the cold. She glanced around, scanning the darkened landscape. A bleak stretch of road lay before her, devoid of life. Forks of lightning illuminated the scene, revealing more than just the deserted gas station. It spotlighted dark figures lurking in the distance, half-formed and swaying, swathed in darkness that seemed almost sentient. The figures whispered and beckoned, their mouths moving in frantic motion, desperate for her presence. She stumbled backward, heart racing so fast it threatened to overtake her. Where were the others? Shouldn't they be nearby? The salesman's warning echoed in her mind, "You can't do this alone." "Jenna!" A voice rang out from the shadows, filled with breathless urgency. It was familiar, but she couldn't place it. This way. Without thinking, she charged toward the voice, adrenaline guiding her feet. Each step felt like a dare, inching deeper into the madness enveloping her. She could hear the whispers growing louder behind her, threatening to drown her in despair. But the promise of the voice gave hope. Perhaps help was closer than she thought. That eye in the distance, a flicker caught her eye, a small light pulsing against the blackness, fighting to cut through the suffocating gloom. She sprinted toward it, the shadows trailing close, clawing at her heels. Don't stop. The voice urged again, more insistent now. Jenna squinted, recognizing the outline of a figure standing by the roadside. Long hair lashed against the wind, and a pale face glowed in the darkness. Lisa. Lisa! Jenna cried, relief flooding her. The moment was fleeting as a shape lunged from the opposite side. A dark, monstrous figure sprang toward them, face obscured, but eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. Run! Lisa screamed, and they dashed together, inseparable as they fled, pounding footsteps echoing like a prayer. Jenna's mind raced with panic, but there was no time to dwell on it. They had to escape. Why are they after us? Jenna gasped, trying to keep pace. What do we do? Lisa's face paled. I don't know. I thought I was dreaming, but I can't wake up. What did you find in there? The locket, Jenna gasped, clutching it tightly in her pocket. I think it's connected somehow. I remember another rumble of thunder drew their attention, and an even darker figure materialized ahead, blocking the path. Shadows twisted angrily around it, swirling like a tempest. No! Jenna cried out as the shadows closed in around them. But Lisa was already turning back toward the dark figures behind them. We can't let them get us. A bright flash of light erupted just then, blinding them. Jenna felt the ground tremble beneath her. What is happening? She shouted over the chaos. Stay close. Lisa yelled, her voice fierce, determination flaring in her eyes. As the blinding light began to fade, Jenna realized they were no longer alone. Forms stirred all around them, unmistakable in the depths of that sinister veil. Faces. Hovering just beyond sight, eyes glinting like shards of glass. The voices crescendoed, urging in a fervor, join us, just as night threatened to swallow them whole. Jenna realized something primal, something in her own spirit raged against the darkness. We're not afraid. She shouted, arms raised defiantly against the wave of shadows, but would that be enough? Then again, was this newfound strength merely a flicker against the encroaching void? The shadows surged closer, wrapping around Lisa's ankles like chains. The light wavered, their sanctuary thinning. Jenna's heart thundered. What would the next moment bring? With breath hanging heavy, shadows pounding at their backs, they had to decide, fight or flee. But would the choice be theirs to make? Jenna's voice echoed against the darkness, a defiance that felt like a spark in an endless night. The shadows whispered maliciously, snapping closer, hungry for her fear. Each breath pulled deeper with a bone-chilling cold as the dark tendrils snaked around her, pulling Lisa deeper into their embrace. Jenna, we need to. Lisa's voice strained, caught somewhere between desperation and despair. The weight of the shadows wrapped around her like a vice. Jenna reached out, fingers brushing the cold skin of her friend's arm, instinctively trying to pull her free. Fight it. Jenna urged, her heart racing against the tide of darkness closing in. We have to break through. Rallying her strength, Jenna plunged her fingers into her pocket. The locket burned against her palm, radiating warmth amidst the icy grip of the surrounding shadows. Memories surged, visions of her grandmother explaining the intricate carvings, of family lore mixed with ancient secrets. It's a talisman. She remembered, eyes widening. Maybe it can help us. Let go of me. Lisa cried as the shadows pulled harder. It's too strong. No. Jenna shouted, unwilling to surrender. She pulled the locket free, clasping it tightly between her hands. The moment she did, the world seemed to pause. Energy crackled into the air, a pulse of light issuing forth from the locket, illuminating their faces with a bright gold hue. The shadows hesitated, shifting and slithering like oil on water. Jenna felt the energy swell. This is ours. We take it back. With a surge of courage, Jenna thrust the locket toward the encroaching darkness. You have no power here. She screamed, her voice raw. The light blazed outward, wrapping around Lisa and forcing back the shadows, illuminating the twisted forms that clawed at the realm of the living. For a flicker of a moment, they were free. The figures recoiled, hissing and snarling, retreating into the deeper shadows. But the victory was fleeting. A guttural roar erupted from the mass, a primal rage that sent a tremor through the ground. Dark shapes loomed larger, no longer afraid. They charged forward, breaking through the flickering barrier conjured by the locket. Run! Now! Jenna screamed as the weight of dread crashed down again, more suffocating this time. They sprinted down the road, the storm raging around them, wind tearing at their clothes. Thunder rumbled, echoing the chaotic heartbeat pounding in Jenna's chest. Lisa fell one step behind, glancing over her shoulder as the dark mass blended into a solid wall of despair. We need to find the others. Lisa panted, fear-stricken. They're out here somewhere. Where? Jenna shouted, the shadows closing in like an unrelenting tide. Where could they be? Look! Lisa yelled, pointing ahead. A flickering bulb buzzed wildly on a small roadside sign, illuminating a figure standing forlornly beneath it. It's Mark. As they barreled toward him, Jenna's pulse quickened with renewed hope. But just as they reached him, Mark's face shifted in shock. Get away from here. He shouted, eyes wide, breathless. It's not safe. Before they could ask why, a chill swept through the air, cutting through the storm like ice. The unearthly whispers returned, louder, as they swelled like a wave crashing onto a beach. Join us, they sighed, resonating all around. The shadows poured from every direction, emerging from the very earth itself, a dark tide ready to consume them whole. Jenna's stomach dropped as Mark stumbled back, overwhelmed. They're everywhere. His eyes darted wildly, searching for an escape. No, no, no. Jenna screamed, dread clawing at her insides. They had made it this far, but with every breath, every flickering light, this nightmare deepened. Fight them. Jenna shouted, voice carrying across the tumult. Fight for our lives. But as the shadows enveloped Mark, his scream cut off into nothingness, stolen by the dark. In that horrifying moment, dread settled like lead in Jenna's chest. Were they next? Something ice-cold brushed against Jenna's arm, a warning as the world around them dimmed. Her spirit wavered as a darkness rooted in a deep history came alive. Could they truly escape, or was there a more sinister path awaiting them? Jenna! Lisa cried out, her voice splintering, pulling Jenna back to the now, a hand grabbing her wrist, urging her on. But running felt impossible with the shadows encircling them. Within that maelstrom of darkness, Jenna realized one dreadful truth: perhaps the locket only delayed the inevitable. The path ahead twisted, dark shapes leaping into view, each more terrifying than the last. Their eyes glimmered with an insatiable hunger for chaos. Would this twisted night ever end? Or was it merely the beginning of something far worse? As more figures emerged from the depths of the storm, Jenna knew they had one choice left to make: stand and fight, or plunge into the abyss with the night. But before she could breathe, the ground shook violently beneath their feet, sending them careening into chaos once more. What awaited them just beyond the edge of the shadows? The answer crawled closer, and with it came a reality even darker than they feared. Jenna stumbled as the ground quaked, sharp stones biting into her knees. A roar more fearsome than before ripped through the air, and dread filled her lungs. The shadows morphed, intertwining, forming shapes that were vaguely human but distorted, glimmering with malice. Keep moving. Lisa yelled, dragging Jenna upright, the urgency in her voice sharper than the frigid air around them. They pushed forward, panic flooding every thought. But as they ran, a sudden brightness flickered to life behind them. Jenna dared a glance, her heart clenching as she found the gas station looming ahead, a specter of solace amid the chaos. Its lights buzzed erratically, threw their distorted shadows onto the asphalt. "Jenna, we can't go in there," Lisa gasped, glancing back as the twisted figures lurched closer. "It's a trap. There's nowhere else," Jenna shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. "We need to regroup." Lisa hesitated, glancing between Jenna and the approaching darkness, veering closer like a storm chasing its prey. "Fine. But stay close." They bolted toward the entrance, bursting through the glass door that jingled ominously. The interior smelled stale, a mix of old fuel and something rotten. The flickering fluorescent lights highlighted dusty shelves, each product somehow cruelly out of place. Snacks, drinks, and outdated newspapers felt like relics from another century. "Mark!" Jenna called into the silence, the echo of her voice rebounding across the deserted aisles. She willed for a reply, but each second stretched, oppressive and thick. Then the door swung shut behind them with a finality that sent a shiver down Jenna's spine. Outside, the storm howled, the angry cadence mingling with the whispers now muffled. Her heart sank. Was this sanctuary or a prison? "What now?" Lisa asked, glancing around as shadows danced just outside the rain-streaked windows. A low whisper curled around them, familiar and taunting. "Join us," it seemed to seep from the cracks in the walls, resonating within the confines of the gas station. Jenna's breath hitched. "It's here, it's inside," she breathed, fear pricking at her skin. From the corner of her eye, she caught sight of something moving in the shadows at the back of the station. A figure. At first, she couldn't process, was it real? It stood limply, drenched in darkness. "Lisa, over there." Jenna's voice trembled. "Do you see it? What if it's just look?" Hesitantly, they both stepped forward, hope wrestling with dread. The figure turned, a face emerging from the shadows. It was Mark, but his features were twisted, grotesque, his mouth stretched wide as if in silent agony. Jenna's heart sank as his glassy eyes met hers. "Help me," he mouthed, but no sound etched from his lips. Behind him, shadows writhed, drinking in his pain and despair. "Mark!" Jenna cried, reaching toward him, but something cold brushed against her back, tendrils of darkness, threatening to suffocate. "No. We have to help him." "Stop!" Lisa shouted, pulling Jenna back as the shadows began to swirl with urgency. "We can't get close. It's a trap." The gas station shuddered. Water dripped from ceiling tiles like tears, and the walls seemed to pulse. Jenna turned, searching for an escape route, knowing she had to move fast, but even the exits felt almost a part of the encroaching darkness. "Jenna! Look!" Lisa pointed to a series of old signs hanging from the ceiling that had gone unnoticed before. Each sign had rules painted on it, faded letters that hinted at ancient warnings. 6 rules, Jenna whispered, heart pounding. What does it mean? But even as she tried to decipher the words, shadows seized Mark, dragging him back into their inky depths. His eyes widened, pleading for a rescue that wasn't coming. "Mark!" Jenna screamed, the rawness of her voice splitting the air, yet still he disappeared. Just like that, swallowed whole by the waiting dark, breathless and reeling, Jenna knew they had to leave, but would breaking the rules seal their fate? In that moment, she realized a single horrifying truth. The gas station wasn't just a place of refuge, it was a part of the very darkness they fought against. "Do you trust me?" Jenna asked urgently, clutching Lisa's arm. "Do we have a choice?" Lisa replied, eyes blazing with determination despite the looming shadows. As they prepared to face the unknown once more, Jenna felt the weight of the ancient rules pressing on her chest. But she had to know what were the consequences of breaking them. And just how far would they have to go to escape the darkness that had become their relentless companion? They stood frozen, staring at the crumbling old signs that swung gently with an oppressive rhythm, the faint creak echoing in the chilling stillness. Jenna squinted at the faded letters, desperately trying to decipher their warning. Rule 1, never ask for help, Lisa read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. What does that even mean? Something shifted in the shadows, drawing their eyes back toward the darkened corners. Jenna swallowed hard, feeling an icy knot of fear tighten in her stomach. She wanted to gag, to run, but her legs felt like lead. Lisa's voice cracked. What if we broke the rules already? By coming in here by trying to help Mark shut up. Jenna snapped, feeling a surge of anger mixed with fear. She needed clarity. Breathing heavily, she focused on the rest of the signs. 2. Stay away from the mirrors. A flicker of movement caught Jenna's attention. Her pulse quickened. There was, unmistakably, a mirror positioned behind the counter, reflecting only shadows. It felt wrong like a breath of ice brushing past her ear. What's wrong? Lisa's brow furrowed, eyes darting around as if sensing an unseen presence closing in. I think Jenna hesitated, trying to keep her voice steady. We need to keep an eye on that mirror. Why? Lisa blinked, confusion playing on her features. We can't just stand here. We need to move. Before Jenna could respond, the air in the gas station grew thicker, charged with an unseen energy. The fluorescent lights flickered wildly, and Jenna pulled Lisa closer, feeling her heart racing. We need to read the rules. What else? Jenna urged, eyes flicking from the shadows to the signs. Rule 3, never look into the shadows. That sent a chill down Jenna's spine. She glanced at Lisa, who looked as though she might break down. Fantastic, Jenna muttered. Just what we needed. The whispers returned, swirling around them like a beast teasing its prey drawn, it seemed, to their utter terror. Join us, the voices breathed, echoing faintly in the walls. Shut up. Jenna cried out, the word bursting like a shot. You're not real. A voice behind the counter trembled, too familiar. Help me, Mark's echoing plea rippled through the air, pulling Jenna's attention like a moth to flame. She stiffened, aching to rescue him, but Rule 1 echoed in her mind. Jenna, Lisa whispered fiercely, her grip tightening. We can't help him. We can't listen, he's in there, Jenna insisted weakly. We have to at least try. Then, the lights went out. Darkness consumed everything, and in that heavy silence, fear wrapped around them like a vice. Where are you? Lisa whimpered, panic slicing through her voice. A pulse of light flickered back to life, illuminating the mirror. Jenna gasped as the reflection changed. Their faces morphed into loveless grins, eyes soulless and wide, mocking. It wasn't just Mark in danger anymore, they were trapped too. Run! Lisa screamed, yanking Jenna as the mirror seemed to elongate, the darkness spilling out as if the gas station itself were breathing shadows. They stumbled backward, but the floor felt shaky beneath them like it was a living thing. Shadows advanced, closing the distance, each one dripping with malice. Rule 4, leave the past behind, Lisa read aloud, fear drenching her words as if it offered some desperate hope. What does that even mean now? I don't know. Jenna shouted, a tear sliding down her cheek. A scraping sound echoed, something clawing at the walls. Jenna turned, face pale as she pointed. What's that? Through the dark, something emerged, a silhouette that seemed to shift and dance with every flicker of light. Jenna's heart raced as recognition crashed over her, an abomination of mark and shadow. The creature's lip curled up into a nightmarish grin, revealing jagged teeth. Help me, it screeched. Jenna felt her world tilt. They were surrounded, desperation coursed through her veins. Would breaking these ancient rules finally seal their doom? Or was ignorance their only chance of survival, with shadows creeping closer and Mark's twisted echo growing louder in their minds? Jenna grasped Lisa's hand, fighting back terror. "No. We will not join you," she shouted, instinctively stepping forward as the darkness surged. "Together," Jenna urged, but as they took a step back, the world shifted beneath their feet, revealing an unfamiliar darkness that felt hungry. Then, as if the gas station itself wanted to swallow them whole, a deafening silence fell, the darkness pausing as if biding its time. In that electrifying stillness, Jenna could almost make out the dim light beyond the glass doors. Freedom seemed just a heartbeat away. But the shadows whispered once more, weaving ancient threats, teasing them with fear. Just as Jenna turned to run, the lights flickered perilously. Will they let us leave? Jenna's mind raced. Or is escape just another rule to be broken? And in that pulse of uncertainty, the truth clawed at her heart. The rules weren't just warnings, they were their last sliver of hope intertwined with horror. Jenna's pulse raced as she clutched Lisa's hand, knowing they had to act now. The shadows couldn't be allowed to consume them. "Whatever happens, we stick together," she said firmly, but her heart thudded against her ribs. The grotesque figure of Mark shifted closer, its voice a twisted echo, "Help me know." Jenna shouted, her voice slicing through the suffocating darkness. "We have to leave." In a flash, she spotted the exit behind them, the familiar flickering light shining like a beacon of tentative hope amid the chaos. Gathering every ounce of strength, she yanked Lisa forward, determination igniting the fire in her veins. Now. They sprinted for the door, the shadows lunging at their heels, sharp claws slicing through the air, whispering promises of despair. Just as Jenna reached for the handle, the shadows surged forward, a wave of dark energy threatening to swallow them whole. "The rules!" Lisa screamed, glancing back with wild terror. "What about the last rule?" "Forget the rules!" Jenna yelled, adrenaline pushing her onward. "We can't stay here." In that moment, the gas station itself felt like a living entity, every crack and crevice oozing malice and despair. Jenna wrenched the door open, a gust of wind slamming against her as icy darkness wrapped around them like a predator closing in on its prey. She didn't look back. As they stumbled out into the storm, the howling winds hit them, relentless and frigid. Rain lashed against her skin, but they were alive, free from the suffocating shadows of the gas station. Far behind, she could hear the entreaties of the tortured souls. "Join us," but Jenna felt the locket vibrate against her chest, a surge of warmth pulsing within it, urging her on. "This way!" she shouted, steering Lisa toward the flickering light illuminating the distant trees. They ran, weaving through the blustering storm, every ounce of energy channeled towards escape. The darkness behind them raged, but they were fueled by fear and courage and the memory of Mark. As they reached the edge of the woods, a figure stepped into the light, a woman appearing before them, standing amidst the storm like a spirit of resilience. "You're not alone," she called, extending her hands wide, a comforting glow haloing her form. "Who are you?" Jenna asked, breathless, yet hope sparked within her. "I'm here to help. You did well to make it this far. Now you must confront the truth," the woman said, her voice soothing yet firm. "But how?" The shadows. Jenna's words faltered, doubt creeping in. "Face them. Together, you have the power," she replied, resolutely. The woman pointed back toward the gas station, its silhouette pulsing ominously against the backdrop of the storm. "You have a choice to make. You can forget what happened, but the shadows will always keep you tethered to fear. Or you can confront the truth, break the cycle, and reclaim your lives." Steeling herself, Jenna looked at Lisa, whose eyes shone with a fierce determination. "We can't back down now. We owe it to Mark, to everyone still trapped in there." With a nod, Lisa gripped Jenna's hand tighter. Together. They turned back toward the gas station, their hearts pounding, reminding them of the souls they had to save. Jenna felt the power surging through them, a flicker of light breaking the shadow's grasp. They stepped into the darkness surrounding the entrance, unwavering. As they pushed through the door, the shadows roiled around them, but they held each other firmly, a united front against the encroaching terror. No more. Jenna screamed, raising the locket high. You don't control us. The shadows hesitated, flickering like dying embers. Jenna could feel her pulse synchronize with the flickering light of the locket. It surged brighter with each beat, banishing the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Face your fears. Face your reflections. They shouted together, the power of their voices breaking the bonds of despair. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as Jenna and Lisa found their footing, pushing forward into the heart of the gas station's darkness. With each step, the whispers grew fainter, the tortured cries of Mark softened into silence, and the very fabric of the gas station seemed to shift. They could almost see the paths of lives entwined with the shadows, the lost, the forgotten. Jenna felt the weight lift from her soul as they surged through the heart of the storm, finally confronting the darkness together. Then, the gas station began to tremble as the shadows were expelled, a bright burst of light erupting around Jenna and Lisa. The darkness twirled around but began to retreat, and the distorted figures faded, their voices fading into whispers of courage and hope. Jenna found herself back outside, rain washing away remnants of fear as the sun broke through the clouds. In that moment, she understood, this was their victory, the dawn after the darkest night. They were freed. As the shadows dissipated, a new reality unveiled its quiet beauty. The road behind the gas station no longer felt menacing but inviting. Jenna and Lisa basked in the warmth of the sunlight. The gas station, once a prison of terror, now lay quiet, a testament to past struggles and newfound hope. We did it, Jenna whispered, tears of relief spilling down her cheeks. Yes, but we remember, Lisa replied, squeezing her hand gently. Together. And as their path stretched before them, Jenna knew this chapter had closed, but the story of courage, friendship, and the power to face fear would carry on. They stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, united against the darkness. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you heart-pounding tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You owe it to them. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.